Hello, my name is Janice Williams, co-founder number two, and this is part two of your Native American history lesson and my college experience. As I was saying, 2 years before the incident where the Spanish lady called me a Mexican, I had bumped into some people at Piedmont who were Filipino, and there was a girl who was Mexican, but she looked Japanese. So I had to do a report, and it had to bash Japanese a little bit. So I went to every Asian person in the class. She was the last one. So I don't know her name. But I went to every Asian person in the class to clear it. You know, I'm not somebody who goes around and intentionally hurts people's feelings due to the fact that your ethnicity might be involved in something that I have to speak on. So, unlike high school, when I had to do a report, and my report was excellent, and thank you, Miss Huckhauser. It was Miss Kidd at the time, but whatever. I did a report on sex, and it offended one of the students when they found out that I had drawn all these pictures of penetration and all this other stuff. So I wasn't allowed to do the report because if it offended one person, I couldn't do the report. So then I had to do two reports because I had to do one on guns and gun safety and guns don't kill people, that people kill people. And that report totally fucking sucked. But the teacher, Miss Kidd at the time, she hadn't gotten married yet, gave me like a B plus for the extra report and counted it as extra credit because it was simpler to grade the one I turned in first. Sorry, text message. Anyway, so um, back to the college. So I talked to a friend. I think his name was Tone. I can't really spell it, but it was a really fracked up name. It wasn't fracked up for him, but it was fracked up for me. And he was Chinese. I think it was Tone Tong something. I'm sorry, dude, if you're watching this. I can't remember your name. Sorry again. Text message. Anyhow, so the last person, I can't remember her name, and she didn't even have a Spanish last name, so I assumed that she was Asian and she was adopted, but she's still technically Asian because she's of Mexican descent. However, she looked like she was straight Japanese. She even her demeanor was even Japanese, like all mannerisms and everything. Everything was just Japanese. I assumed she was Japanese. So I talked to the other three Asians in the class first, and then I talked to her. Now, I guess they must assume that I was Hawaiian or Filipino because they didn't really have a problem with it. But I wanted to make sure that they weren't Japanese because I was gonna really put down some shit on Japanese people. Not that I hate Japanese, but books and facts and science. There's that shade of gray that pretty much gives everyone the finger for their ethnicity. And I am not about to offend the hottest girl in the classroom who looked Japanese but was actually a Mexican. Yeah, see where I'm going with that? And she was like, there was another girl in there who was actually Asian. She was like, where the fuck was she from? She was from Vietnam. I think she was from Vietnam. It doesn't matter where she was from. It's over and done. Anyway, so I had to do shit about samurais and shoguns and shit that I knew, and the teacher had approved it already. And it's college, it's not high school, so sometimes you kind of want to go the extra mile to make sure you don't hurt people's feelings. When the truth hits you, it does slap you in the face, and it doesn't slap you in the face with an open hand. It slaps you in the face with brass knuckles and an open hand. Anyway, so I'm going around, and the guys are like, "Yeah, we're cool. We want to know about samurai stuff," and I'm like, "Okay, why would Asian guys want to know about samurai stuff? You guys are Asian. What the fuck?" But apparently, one was from China, one was from Vietnam or Korea or something. Not to be mistaken with the preacher's son, who was from Korea. He wasn't in that class because this was like an English class or something. So when I got to the two girls, the girl who I offended with thinking that she was Japanese, I'm getting there. The other girl was cool with it. She's like, yeah, I want to learn about this stuff too because most girls, unless you're like in certain families, that martial arts isn't your thing. It's just not your thing. It's not a crime to not know martial arts because you're Asian. It's just some girls just weren't into that shit, which is cool. It's no problem. I'm not into a whole bunch of shit that black people do, but it is culture. So I got to the last girl. I said, look, I've talked to everyone here of Asian descent, and because you look Japanese, I don't want to offend you because you carry yourself more Japanese. And before I could finish, she chewed into my ass some kind of bad. She goes, "What? You look more fucking Chinese than I do. Do your goddamn report." And I think I got pale for the first time in my life after that because she was hot. It just felt really, really wrong. But I said, okay. So the next day, I did my report. And I'm sorry to anybody Japanese watching. I'm pretty sure that everything I said was probably offensive to Japanese that day. And it reflected kamikazes and assassinations and ninjutsu and jujitsu, even though ninjutsu technically started in China. I brought up all kinds of blood curdling shit, which also I brought up the things that why a lot of people have distant reserves for Japanese people or Asian people in general for some reason. I guess it's a white man thing, but if their eyes are slanted, they could be getting ready to slice your ass in half. I don't know why people think like that, but anyway, this is what the report insisted of. So if I'm offending you right now, seriously, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it, but this was a report back when I was like 22, 23 years old. And when you read all this stuff, um, some of the things that you read when you're going to school and you're doing these reports, some of these things actually sicken you. And when you think about shit like Vietnam and the Vietnam War and Japanese and World War II and bombing of Pearl Harbor and the retaliation of uh, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and a lot of lives wasted and taken for absolutely fucking nothing because some German guy got his raw little mustache up his ass. It really fucked me up that I had to do this report, but it was the only thing I know. I know Japanese and Asian violence because I've been training in martial arts since I was 7, and I listen to the legends and I do all the stories and I would do everything and try my best to, I guess, be one of them, just not by blood. So after she totally chunked me down on that, I was like, wow, you know, here I am trying not to offend you because I'm about to level the playing field with Japanese bodies and shit. And she's Mexican because the end of her conversation was, you look more Chinese than I do, and I hate to tell you, but I'm fucking Mexican. I was like, you're Mexican. You don't have a Mexican last name. It wasn't like Ruiz or Lopez or Hernandez, or Ramirez. Those are Spanish last names that are all like stereotypical. Most people probably don't even have those last names if they're Spanish. But anyway, when I was growing up, those were the typical last names. Lopez, Topaz, Torres, shit like that. Something with a ras or an ass, and that's what it sounded like. That's what it was. And that was the black in me right there that just came out. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow. So when I got to the Spanish class, and the Spanish lady who was teaching was white. I mean, she was pale white. She's white in this picture with this dragon on it. That's how pasty white she is. She's whiter than my mom. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, you should be able to speak Mexican Spanish because you're Mexican. And then she explained to me that there's two types of Spanish, and there's Mexican Spanish from Mexico, which originated from Spain, but grew to have its own demeaning. Because some of the shit you can say in Mexico, you can't say in Spain. And some of the shit you say in Spain, you can say in Mexico, and you get your ass killed. And when she explained it to me, I was like, well, ma'am, if I have to learn a language, I didn't want to learn Spanish, but they canceled the Japanese class at Piedmont, so here I fucking am. So you think you can learn Japanese faster than you can learn Spanish? Let me tell you something. When you are really into something culturally, you can learn that language because you want to really learn that language. When you are forced to learn a language because you don't want to have to learn that language, it's a little bit more difficult. And she's like, "Are you gonna be a teacher one day?" I was like, "I highly doubt it. I don't have the temperament to be a teacher. If I was going to be a teacher, it would have to be in high school, or actually, I would prefer middle school or like the 5th grade. so that I can guide them down the right path. Not past the eighth grade, because girls develop faster between the eighth and the 10th grade, and I don't want to be looking at none of that shit. So like I said, the fifth and fourth grade, maybe the sixth grade, that would be where I would end, and I would have to be a gym teacher because there's nothing else I could really teach. I like history; it's my favorite subject, but I couldn't be a history teacher because you have a curriculum that you are only allowed to teach yay so much because you don't want the kids' heads to expand or explode. And there's a lot of mind blowing things because finding out that Native Americans were Asian when I was 22, 23, that fucked me up. It like totally fucked me up. I never saw it coming because in the fifth grade, God bless you, Miss Conrad, wherever you are, we had Native American History Week. And I'll tell you guys this. So the short version is she told me about carving these damn canoes and that I could do it because I was Native American. My mama beat my ass and made me wash with all those small bars of soap that I totally fucking demolished because I didn't have the right equipment to use. You can't carve a canoe with a fucking butter knife and a spoon. That shit is not the best. Okay, it worked in the ghetto, but the boats didn't look nothing like a canoe. So, like I said, I mean, you have these things and you don't retain everything. So when Mr. Kim taught me this shit and I, boom, I was like, wow, all this damn time I thought we were special. We're just the dogs of Asia. We haven't really done anything spectacular outside of made deals with yetis, fairies, thunderbirds, and mythological creatures that everybody's apparently out there trying to find to prove that they exist. Well, here's the thing: every myth and legend has some truth to it, and I would advise you to stop looking for things that you don't understand before you get dead. All right. Now I'm thinking of how the best way to end this, and I really don't know because uh, with in light of current events with Donald Trump ass being president, he's already attacked Native Americans by making sure that this pipeline bullshit happens. I don't know what's going on because media hasn't really been covering it anymore, and that kind of sucks. And social media hasn't really been covering it anymore, so we don't know if the fight's still going on, if the Sioux tribe just decided to fold. Now, I'm gonna do one more video about Native Americans, and that's gonna try and be short. You know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna add it right here. Alright. For everyone who doesn't know a Native American, but for everyone who's of Native American descent and you're not on the tribe or in the tribe like me, alright, I'm trying to find my way to get into my grandmother's tribe or my great grandmother's tribe. I don't know how to go about that, and hopefully somebody here will send me something so that I can check that out. But anyway, it's a lot of things that need to be said. I don't want to sound like a racist. I don't want to come off as an asshole. I'm already an asshole, but I don't want to come off as a racist asshole. Native Americans, indigenous Native Americans, have gone through way, way too much shit to keep losing reservational and tribal lands. The way that the government has put treaties in place to protect my ancestors and the people that we spawned from is just a crock of shit when they can just come right back in and take it back after years of squandering, raping women and taking the land and killing men and setting us up for scalpings and shit. A lot of tribes didn't even scalp people, and you know, there's good and bad in every ethnicity, and there's things that you have to understand. When you come to another country and you run its inhabitants off their land and you don't expect them to fight back, then you're an idiot. But when you make treaties, there shouldn't be an issue with you honoring it. Your descendants should honor it. Honor is very important. Now, I'm going to say this, so all of my Asian people, please forgive me. Because it seems to be, and this is scientifically proven by me, that most Asians are really seriously about honor, and that goes for Native Americans as well. They're seriously believe in being honor bound to shit, and we honor the land in which we live. We protect it, we savor it, we relish it, we love it, we live it, because without the land in which it provides for us, we can't protect or provide for ourselves without it. Now, if you're not a Native American, you have no idea what that means. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. There are a lot of tribal books and shit that you can find in your local library. You should probably go check them out, or you can do what you normally would do with your young asses, which is slide finger and Google this shit. So I'm gonna tell you, you know, finding out that Native Americans were Asian was kind of like the biggest slap in the face and the best and the worst thing that ever happened to me at the same time. Now the good news is I could play any Native American role or any black role, but I'm not cutting off my hair. That's not a fucking option. But the whole thing is that a lot of people will do different things to where they can't seem to get it to the point where we have Native American movies or rights told properly. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is probably going to be offensive, so let me apologize now. Now, there are a lot of things that we can do to get a cultural divide to the point of understanding. We choose not to do it because it's the right thing to do. And when the right thing to do is the hardest thing to do, that's when you should probably do the right damn thing. Now, it was easy for Obama to come in and put up the protection order. And unfortunately, if he would have done this like 11 months ago, like before all that stuff came down, it would have been harder for Donald Trump to get in there and undo the damn thing. But see, the president wasn't aware of what the hell was going on with the Sioux tribe. And the thing with a lot of the tribal stuff, it just slides through the cracks because there's not enough Native American news reporters. They're not covering the reservational events unless there's a powwow where everyone whips out their phones and cameras. Unless there's a powwow, no one seems to give a shit about tribal affairs. And you have NARF and other organizations with Native American stuff. You have Native American tribals and all that other stuff. But without like public coverage, we found out through social media. All tribal people have found out through social media. But by the time we found out, it was too fucking late. And by the time Obama found out, again, same concept, it was too fucking late. He did do something about it, so we have to give him his credit for that. However, the red-headed ginger snap decided that that shit wasn't going to happen, and he undone what the president done to protect the Sioux tribe. Which, again, we had treaties from way back when. I wouldn't say they go back as 1492, but they go pretty goddamn far back since they took over the land and put everybody on things. It caused Geronimo to cause a riot and all kinds of hell. You would think that our government, as people, would honor the natives and keep shit right. In case you guys haven't seen the movie Wind Talkers with Adam Beach, it's a good movie where they use, I believe the tribe was Navajo. They use Navajo language to translate war plans, just in case, insurgents or whatever, when they took the Navajo land, they took tribal people joined the military, and they when they were sent off to World War II to deliver messages and war plans secretly to the people in Germany. They drop them off on the boat, and the shit would be translated from Navajo to English, so that the generals and stuff over there would be able to coordinate and kick Hitler in the ass. However, apparently that's not an honorable enough thing to let the reservation stand. And tribal law was protected by these laws and treaties so that if you commit a crime in a tribe, the tribe deals with you. So if a white man comes into the tribe and causes a fucking ruckus, his ass belongs to them. And normal police can't come in and do anything about it because, well, he committed it on tribal land. He has no rights there. Well, he has rights there to a fair trial, but it's a trial by fire, I guess. I don't really know how that shit works because I'm not going to go to the Powhite Reservation and cause a fucking ruckus. Granted, my bloodline's from there, but that does not give me the right to go there and be a straight asshat. Now, in closing, I want you guys to remember one thing. If anything I said is disproven, that's fine. But for the most part, Native Americans are Asian. All right, all tribes are Asian, and so if you're a Mexican of Aztec, Incan, or Spanish descent, your ass is Asian. I'm sorry, but you are. The three base human body uh, dissemination terms, I guess that's what you call it, are Mongoloids, Negress, and Caucasian. So there's whites, Native Americans, and blacks. All right. Now I tried to say that as least racist as possible. I completely failed at that, so I apologize for anything that came out my mouth completely fucking racist because I don't have the right to be a racist since I am the three primary bodies of life on Earth. You know, unless there's a hybrid somewhere that got into our genome. But anyway, I technically am a hybrid if you look at it, but I'm just not hybrid up here. But the thing is, we're all human. We all bleed red, and we all need to learn how to get the fuck along. But when it comes to shit like tribal affairs and shit, honestly, I don't think that the government should be able to stick their nose in that shit. And as a former member of the United States military, there comes a time where you have to not follow orders if they're not morally correct. Taking someone's land from a country in which you're born in and you have your rights kind of fucking sucks. And to get the military to like combat tribal people when they were military, like retired vets, stopping this shit, it's kind of a fucking catch 22. Because us military guys, we are loyal to our country. We are loyal to the body we serve. And if you are a Marine, an Army guy, or Coast Guard, or Air Force, I don't know who am I missing. Um, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. I just named all of them right there. If you're any of them, you know where I'm coming from. Because that obligation to duty for your country and that obligation to duty for your home are two different things. So tribal veterans know, that tribal land, that's all we got. That's it. We have nothing else. Even when we served this country and this great country that it is, that tribal land is ours. It's all we've got. And we will hang up them dog tags and swap them out for bows and arrows because that's our land. It was our land 20,000 years ago, and it'll be our land again when everyone who's not Native American squanders the dumb shit and winds up killing themselves off. I'm James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Habit number 2, and if I have offended you, I apologize. But this all came about on my Facebook page about not knowing that Native Americans were Asian because one of my friends was like scientifically trying to prove it that I'm wrong, and one of my other friends was like, "You are right." He posted up articles on my thing, and I think it's open. You probably can still read the comments or whatever. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm probably gonna put both of these on Facebook too. But this is your Native American history lesson. This is Kung Fu Habit number 2. Um, you know, I know this is like overkill. Let me make a third video. I'm James from Junior. This is Kung Fu Habit number 2. Be seeing you.